And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Baseball Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Friday, February 23rd. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate, get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/GSMCSportsNetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is streamelements.com/GSMCSportsNetwork./tip. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So we do have a guest for the show for today. We are joined by the new host of the GSMC Baseball Podcast, and that is Sam. And once again, my camera is acting up again, so I'm just going to fix that really quick. See, this like happens at least once or twice on the show, but now for some reason... Okay, there we go. We're good now. So we're joined by Sam. Like I said, the new host of the GSMC Baseball Podcast. Sam, how are you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. So yeah, I started off doing the baseball podcast, and then I switched over to football, and then obviously baseball was like every Friday, then it became every other Friday, and then Sam's taken over. He's done a great job. So this is kind of a passing of the torch, if you will, with this. So really, it's going to be a two-segment show, half-hour show. We're just going to talk about the off-season and preview the season as well, and then and that will be it. And then after this, I will do a half-hour show of the football podcast. So let's dive right into it. So Sam, what are some of your takeaways from the off season? Because obviously a lot of stuff happened, but there were times, and I know like in the production meetings when we would talk about like stuff that we were show topics. You said there were a lot of times where the off season was just dead, and yeah, there were plenty of times where that was the case. So it really at times was challenging to come up with things to talk about. But like, what are some of your takeaways from some of the stuff that happened over the course of the off season?
I think my first takeaway is going to be what everyone's takeaway is, and just how much talent is left on the market. I mean, you even going beside the Boris Four of Montgomery, Chapman, Snell, Bellinger, you have guys like Adam Duvall, Tommy Pham, Michael Lorenzen, guys that are still like difference makers on a team, that were difference makers on teams that made the playoffs, and I think I'm surprised they're still out there. A lot of teams could use them, and I think another takeaway is kind of just the Dodgers and everything they did. I mean, when they signed Ohtani, and then it was mentioned they were still in on Yamamoto, I was like, okay, maybe that's getting a little overblown. There's no way they can do both. And then they did that, and they also traded for Tyler Glasnow and extended him, and then they also got James Paxton, and it's my
Also,
takeaways
Teoscar
for that.
Hernandez too.
Yeah, Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, he had a huge double yesterday in the game. I mean, just an insane offseason. And when in an offseason where everything's moving so slow, they have gone just star after star after star. So it's been insane to watch.
Yeah, I know, and I honestly didn't realize when they signed Ohtani that they could defer all that money to when he's basically done playing, so they can continue to add. And then also they brought back Kershaw as well, because I know there was some speculation on whether he was going to retire or not. Which I mean, I know the Dodgers now are looked at as the villain now, but I'm kind of happy he came back, because this team is loaded, and it's like this could be like your last chance to win another championship. Because I know a lot of people talk about the COVID championship as that kind of being kind of fake, So this team is loaded. So, and again, he doesn't have to be like the number one guy, because you have so many other guys that they added. Obviously, Ohtani's not going to be able to pitch this year, but like you said, Yamamoto, they traded for Glasnow. You bring in Paxton, who could be a back of the rotation guy. And also on top of that, all the guys that they still have, like Walker Buehler, I know he was hurt, so he's working his way back. So, Kershaw doesn't have to be that number one guy. And even like as he's getting older, I mean, he's still pitching well. I mean, I think he had like a sub-3 ERA last year. So even as he's getting older, he's still, producing. And the other thing too is, being a Yankee fan, them getting Juan Soto. I'll be honest, I really did not expect it. I think a lot of people didn't expect it, either. I kind of expected them to do what they've been doing the last couple of off seasons, where they kind of make these like little moves, um, but nothing like significant. So when this started to gain traction, I was like, okay, maybe this actually has a possibility. And then once the deal was done, I'm really excited for this season for the Yankees. What were your thoughts on the Soto trade?
I mean, when I heard Soto to the Yankees for like first as a rumor, I was like, okay, that makes sense on paper. It's one of the best stars in baseball. The Yankees are, the Yankees. He fits your lineup perfectly. A big lefty bat. You needed help in left field last year, pretty bad. I mean, you had Billy McKinney playing regular,
Yeah,
games
Jake
there, which is
Bowers, Willie
Jake Bowers.
Calhoun.
Like,
Yeah,
these guys shouldn't be starting for the Yankees. I mean, you have to look at it that way. And I was kind of like, okay, it makes sense, but are the Yankees really going to do it? Like we've seen the Yankees over the past few years kind of not doing what we've expected them to as the Yankees to do. I mean, they re-signed Judge last offseason, so good for them. But like, I mean, other things, just over the years where we've heard rumors about it and it hasn't happened. And when it finally did happen, I was like, okay, wow, they're gonna be really good. And I thought they were gonna get Yamamoto for the longest time, and I was
yeah,
really, really scared. So
yeah. I was kind of just like I was. It was really just a wait and see for me, because I know it looked like that might have been the case, but then you also had the Dodgers as well, like we were saying before, and they weren't willing to go, to pay, to outbid the Dodgers, which I'm honestly okay with. And I'm actually surprisingly I was okay with the Stroman deal. I think the biggest thing for them is they're banking on guys like Rodon and Cortez to bounce back and
but
have
yeah,
better seasons, which again is a gamble. And there's a lot of players on this team that you're kind of gambling on to have bounce back years. So I mean, I love what they did in the offseason. Um, I think there's still more pieces to add. I mean, whether it's, there's still some guys maybe out there that they might want to get, because I know Blake Snell is still in the news with them, because I think they're the only team that actually officially gave him a contract. I don't
yeah,
think, I
that's
mean,
crazy.
yeah, I know. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but, even if they go out and get somebody at the deadline, whether it's a reliever or maybe a starter, like I'm fine. I think the lineup is solid. I'm expecting big things out of Anthony Volpe in year two. Um, and the other thing too is my biggest complaint over the years was the lack of balance, because this team was so right-handed for so long, and you go out and you get Soto, you get Trent Grisham in the trade, you get Verdugo. Now you're gonna have like a platoon at catcher with Austin Wells and Jose Trevino. Um, I like the lineup actually has balance, and then Dominguez comes back too, who's a switch hitter. So, what myself and many other Yankee fans were calling for many years, finally they answered, and they gave us a lineup that actually has balance, which I'm again really excited about. So, we'll see what happens there. But some of the other teams that I was kind of disappointed in, and surprisingly, it's teams within the Yankees division, and that's the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. The Red Sox
Oh yeah,
really
yeah.
didn't do anything. I mean, they added Lucas Giolito, who was not good last year, and then you got the Blue Jays. They were in on Otani, but then they go out and they get Justin Turner, who's still producing. It's not like that was a bad move. Um, but you bring him in, you bring back Kiermaier, you sign Isaiah Kiner Falefa, then I know they signed Vogelbach to a minor league deal. I mean, this team has a lot of talent, and they just like year after year they just cannot take that next step. I still like their rotation a lot. Their rotation is one of the better rotations in baseball, but I just feel like they should have added more to this team, and they just really didn't do that. And the Red Sox, I mean, I don't know what's going on with them. They just keep
Oh yeah,
subtracting.
yeah. First for the Red Sox, I mean, I kind of been expecting this with the Red Sox for a little while now. I mean, they haven't acted like the Red Sox. I mean, that Jordan Montgomery's still out there and it's spring
Right.
training. His wife lives in Boston. He's trained in Boston the entire offseason. And you're not gonna go after him. I mean, if you offer him a good contract, maybe a little less than what he was expecting, he's probably gonna take it. That adds just another dimension to that rotation that I think has some pieces. I love Brian Bayo. I think Garrett Whitlock, Tanner Houck might be able to do something. And also going to the Blue Jays, I think they've had a good offseason. The problem is we expected them to have an amazing offseason. I mean, there
Right.
was a point in the offseason where we thought they were getting one of Otani or Soto. Like they were rumored with both of them. And getting Justin Turner, getting Isaiah Kiner Falefa, they're good players, but are they really difference makers to win a championship?
No.
I mean, I don't really think so personally. I love their rotation. I love
Yeah.
Kevin Gausman,
Hmm.
but it's just, I don't think they added enough, especially in a division where the Yankees added Soto, the Orioles added Burns. I mean, it's just not enough for me.
Yeah. I actually, to be honest, I was surprised with Gosman because I thought like when he had that good season with the Giants, I thought that
Yeah.
was like a fluke season, and he actually has turned into a really good pitcher. Um, it's again, like I said with the Blue Jays, they have a lot of talent. It's just like they can't take that next step. Like they played against the Twins, who hadn't won a playoff series in years, and the Twins swept them like it was nothing.
Yeah.
So and again, like you have Vlad, you got Bichette, Springer, like they have these guys that are tough to deal with, but it's just they again cannot take that next step. Um, Also in the National League too. I guess we'll go over there quickly. So I know like with the NL East, you had the Phillies. They brought back Aaron Nola. The Braves they traded for Chris Sale, which I thought was surprising. And the Mets they made some moves to at least like be competitive this season, but I don't think we're expecting a ton out of them. And especially I know you did a video on this with Kodai Senga getting hurt. It doesn't seem like that's
Yeah.
going to be significant, but again, he's going to miss some time, and especially with how thin the rotation is, that's something that you don't want, especially when we're a little over a month before the season starts. So, like, what are some of your thoughts on the NL East with these teams?
So, so first, to start with the Phillies. I mean, they just haven't done enough, in my opinion. I mean, Nola. I mean, a nice re-signing. I think it was kind of expected. There were some rumors that he might leave, but I think his heart was always in Philly. He didn't have the best season last year. I think that might be something to look out for in the future. He has a lot of innings on his arm. He doesn't get hurt, which I think may be a signal for the future that you have to look out for that. I mean, they haven't really done much after. They brought Whit Merrifield in, which I guess he's a good platoon player, nice little 10th man, I guess if you want to call it like that. But I feel like they should do more. There have been a lot of rumors about Snell or Montgomery. I
Yep.
mean, I think both would fit perfectly. I mean, you have the uncertainty with Zach Wheeler because he's a free agent next offseason. You also have Taiwan Walker, who has not lived up to that contract. I don't know why they gave him that contract in the first place, to be honest. Did not make any sense. And then I'll go to my team, which is the Mets. With the Senga thing, first we kind of expect this with the Mets. They are the Mets. I've been a fan of this team for 18 years. We just expect these things.
Yep. Got
I
plenty
I
of friends that are Met fans, so we're
yeah,
right there with
it's
you.
I was actually excited for the season. I was like, okay, you know what? We're revitalized. We got a lot of new guys in. We traded Verlander. We traded Scherzer. I love the prospects we got back. Um, I was a big fan of. I love the Severino signing personally.
Yeah, I
I
honestly
thought
think
he's
if he stays healthy, I think he could be good for you guys, and I hope he is. Like, I'm not one of these Yankee fans
yeah
that's like, oh, I hope he's terrible. I hope he does
yeah
well for you guys.
yeah. I mean, maybe I'm drinking the Kool Aid a little bit, but I've heard what he said in press conferences. He talked about how he hasn't gotten enough sleep, and he was trying to focus on not tipping his pitches last
Hmm.
year, and that caused him to not pitch as well. So I'm really high on him. I love the Sean Manaea signing. I thought he showed a lot in the second half with the Giants after adding a new pitch. Adrian Hauser, I thought was a fine number five pitcher, just kind of a guy you can rely on for 40 ERA, pitch some innings. Um, and then the Sanga injury kind of just derailed all that because he is our ace. I don't know if I want to go into opening day with Tyler McGill or Jose Quintana. I was expecting them to make a push for the wild card. I still am, but I think
Yeah.
the Sanga injury hurts it. And I'm kind of surprised they haven't, like, I mean, Jordan Montgomery, he's a guy out there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know why we don't go after him, especially with all the holes we're gonna have in our rotation next year. So that's something I would hope they're looking out after, but I don't think it's gonna happen right now.
Yeah, I think like if the lineup is good, they could definitely make a push for that third wild card, and
Yeah,
I think the bullpen is going to be better. I mean, we'll see how Diaz bounces back from the Achilles injury because if he's anything like he was, before it, you guys, got your stud closer back, which is good.
yeah,
So we'll see. I mean, because again, you look at the Diamondbacks. I mean, they made the World Series at 84 wins. So like, who's to say the Mets can't do that? Well, I'm not. Well, I'm not going to say World Series, but at least like getting into the playoffs.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
all right. So we're gonna take our first and only break of the show here, and then we'll continue our discussion. We'll talk about we'll kind of preview the season, how we expect it to go. So we'll do that when we come back. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. We are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast. And for the second and final part of the show, we are going to talk about preview the season. I didn't change the segment title here. But yeah, we're going to preview the season. We'll talk about some of the things that we, think are going to happen. Divisions, I guess. I don't know if you want to start. Give me some of your predictions for how the season's going to go.
So my first prediction, I'd say that is kind of, I guess, notable is I have the Reds winning the NL Central.
Okay. They did it. That was something that I was also thinking about when we before we came on, is because they did add a lot of pitching.
Yeah.
A
yeah.
lot of young
I love
players.
their offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Frankie Montas, as a Yankees fan, I know he didn't really work out there.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I think if he's healthy, he can really add a nice pitcher to that Reds rotation. They have Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, even someone like Graham Ashcraft, who I think is a little underrated. They added Nick Martinez, who they're stretching out to be a starter. Yeah, so I think the Reds, I'm really high on them. The NL Central isn't the greatest division.
No.
So especially with the Brewers trading Burns.
Yeah, I was a little. What were your thoughts on that? I was a little confused by that because it seemed like they were like, all right, we're gonna still contend because this division, like you said, is weak, and then because they made the playoffs last year, but I feel like they're a team, they just make the playoffs and then they don't do anything. So now I guess it seems like they might be mailing it in already by just trading their best pitcher. That's something we didn't even talk about, is the Orioles getting Corbin Burns. But yeah. No, I agree. This division's weak. It's up for grabs.
Yeah, I mean, for the Brewers, I was shocked when they traded Burns. I mean, I thought it made sense going into the offseason, but there weren't really any rumors about it at all. So I was like, okay, they're keeping on to him. And then they signed Rhys Hoskins, and I was like, okay, they're trying to win the Central now. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. And then like a week, 2 weeks later, they trade Corbin Burns. So I was really I was kind of perplexed at what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it didn't make any sense to me, but they brought back Woodruff, which I thought was a good move. Obviously, he's not going to pitch this year, most likely, but I still think it's good. I think they're going to be good next year. They have a lot of good young pieces. I like what they got back in the Burns trade, even if it wasn't much. It was for a 1-year deal, and he was making a good amount of money, so I think there wasn't as much that you would expect for a guy like Corbin Burns. But yeah, I don't really know what their plan is, but yeah, it was kind of strange with what they did. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe they just don't have confidence that they were going to be able to re-sign him. I mean, I guess that could be the possibility. But yeah, I mean, ever since they went to the NLCS in 2018, they just kind of been trending down since then. Again, like they still have made the playoffs, but again, they go to the playoffs and they can't really go any further than the first round. Or because I actually did have them losing to the. I remember I did pick the Diamondbacks to beat them in in the division, or right, the divisional round. They played in the divisional round.
It was a
Yeah,
wild card.
it was the wild card. Okay, right. Yeah, because they
Yeah.
were the third
Yeah.
division team.
The Noops.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did pick them to win that series, the Diamondbacks, and then I just picked against them the rest of the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess like, well, we know the Dodgers and the Braves are going to be really good. Let me ask you, so who do you think has the better, I don't know if I want to say well, yeah, I guess the better lineup, like from top to bottom. Who would you say has the better lineup?
With the Braves and Dodgers?
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, I'd probably say the Dodgers
Hmm.
just because Otani now, you have Mookie, you have
Yep.
Freddie Freeman.
Yep.
The Braves, they kind of have like shortstop right now. I mean, it's kind of a weaker position
Hmm.
than I would say the Dodgers have in all. I mean, the Dodgers do have Jason Hayward starting,
Hmm.
who I don't know if he's really going to be a impact guy, but
Yeah. He
you
was
have
okay for them
you have
last year.
yeah, he definitely had a bounce back season. I mean, that's what the Dodgers do. They just take these guys who we thought are past their prime and make
Yeah.
them great again for some reason. I mean, but I would say them. I think, I mean, I watched the Braves a lot during the season
Hmm.
as being a Mets fan, so I
Right.
definitely know how great their lineup can be.
Yeah.
They have the reigning MVP.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I think both are great, but I'd go with the Dodgers just because Otani, you have Freeman, you have
Right.
Mookie,
Yeah.
even guys like Will Smith, who
Mhm.
Max Muncy, Gavin
Yep.
Lux coming back,
Hmm.
James Outman. I love James Outman. He was great last year, so
Hmm.
I'd probably go them. But I definitely think it's really close. They're both
Yeah.
really, really good.
Yeah, like I feel like the Braves, they have like maybe more of like the complete lineup, but like the Dodgers have like more of the stars, I guess.
Yeah,
But like
yeah,
you
yeah,
said,
yeah.
the Braves have Ronald Acuna, who did win MVP, and of course you had Matt Olson, who also was an MVP I mean,
Oh yeah,
on both
yeah.
sides you had MVP candidates. Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts
Oh
on one side, and then you had Matt Olson and Ronald Acuna, of course, on the other side. So I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun when those two teams first play each other. Did you watch any of the game from yesterday?
So I watched a part of it. It was on when I was streaming, which was kind of
Oh, gotcha.
kind of strange. But I was
Could have
checking
gave
the
like
score.
did you give any like live updates?
I did. I gave
Yeah.
live updates for the first inning, and then it was 8-0. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm just
I
gonna
know, I couldn't
stop
believe that.
because yeah, it was crazy. I mean, and it wasn't even like they had some guy from Double A starting. They had Joe Musgrove starting.
No, I know.
Like,
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
I don't know. Like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I don't think you should overreact because it's just
Yeah,
one game.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like that. Yeah, that's not good. You don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, it was just. I mean, I thought it was going to be competitive. I mean, they had Gavin Stone starting, who's fine, I guess,
Mhm.
but he's nice depth for the team this year. But
Hmm.
I mean, it was 14-1, right? Like
Yeah, I think so.
that's crazy. So it was just
Yeah.
it was an
I
absolute
mean,
blowout.
yeah, and again, it's just one spring training game, but like again, there's plenty of times where like, you're gonna overreact to things like that.
Yeah.
I think once like real games start and Musgrove is pitching
Mhm.
like that, then you got things to worry about. Because I think the Padres could still like be good.
Yeah, they'll be okay, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
uh,
I mean, it's crazy how they only went 82-80.
yeah, I mean, the stats last year with them with runners in scoring position was
Mhm.
just absolutely crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously some of it was bad luck, but then
Mhm.
you kind of have to factor in that bad luck because now they don't have Juan Soto, who is
Yeah.
easily their best hitter.
And also
So
like, I forget they had like such a bad record in extra inning games last year.
oh yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I don't know what was going on with them, but they
And
were
their
just
yeah, because their run differential was like it was great.
Yeah.
It's just they kept
It was-
losing all these close games, and that
Yeah,
really
I
led to
mean,
them
I
missing the
don't-
playoffs.
they were a really strange team last year.
Yeah.
And I like what they did at the deadline though. They kind of like bought and didn't buy at the same time. I thought that was a good move for where they were, but yeah, they don't have Soto this year, obviously.
Yeah.
I like the pitchers they did get back. I think Michael King is going to
Yeah.
be really good.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
agree with that.
I
I think
I
even
thought
Randy Vasquez, he was good in
Oh, yeah.
some of the starts that he made. I mean, Brito was up and down. I mean, he was good,
yeah,
and then like there was that one game against the Twins where he just could not get an out. He could not get out of the first inning. They lost that game. I don't even remember what it was, but it was like 9-0 after the first inning. But I think he's shown you some things, especially like when they would bring him out after the Yankees would start the game with an opener. and he'd be like their bulk guy. So I mean, I no, but I'm with you though. I think Michael King is going to be really good for them.
Yeah.
I do worry because obviously he had the elbow injury.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do worry about that. Because I know when I was watching the Michael K show, he did talk about that. So, but I mean, I think King will be good for them. So, um, and what else is there? I mean, I guess like also the American League East. So who do you think's going to win
Yeah.
that division?
I honestly, it's such a toss up between the Yankees and Orioles. I think
Yeah.
they're two of the better teams in baseball. I think I'd have the Yankees right now just because of the Kyle Bradish injury from the
Right.
Orioles.
Yep.
I thought that was a big deal. I mean, Corbin Burns obviously is great, but what's really going on behind him? You have a bunch of guys who might be good. You know, guys like Grayson Rodriguez, guys like John Means, Dean Kramer.
Yep.
Like they're okay, but you kind of need more if you're going to be pitching to the Yankees, the Blue Jays. The Red Sox lineup isn't that bad. You have the Rays lineup, of course.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're going to be pitching to these guys, and after Burns, who do you really have? So, I think the Orioles are still going to be probably the 4th seed, but I think it's the Yankees division to lose right now.
Yeah. I see. I was like that. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Orioles got Corbin Burns, and then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I don't know if I can. I mean, I guess maybe because well, first of all, I think it's definitely some Yankee bias, but at the same time, it's like
Yeah.
you look at the Red Sox, what they haven't done, the Blue Jays, they again we talked about that in the last segment. The Rays, I think, are always going to be good, even though like you look
Yeah.
at their lineup. I mean, I actually can name most of the people in their lineup, most of the players in their lineup. But
Yeah.
it's like for some people that are just casual baseball fans, like they're not household names. A lot of those guys.
Yeah. I think the problem with the Rays is a little bit is, they lost their best player. I mean, I know we
Yeah.
probably shouldn't talk about what happened with that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they did lose their best player.
Mhm.
So I think that's something you definitely have to take into consideration with the Rays.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. With how they do without him over the course of a full season. But yeah, I mean, the Bradish injury is huge, and also you look at their bullpen too.
Yeah.
They lose Batista. I mean, you bring in Kimbrel, but Kimbrel's like hit or miss.
I mean, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
It's 2024, so I don't know
yeah.
how
And
great
I know
Craig
Phillies
Kimbrel's
fans
gonna
weren't
be.
happy with him with how he did in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see how he does with the Orioles, but they had to do something because Batista's not, going to be an easy person to replace,
Definitely.
player to replace.
Definitely, yeah.
So, it definitely is a toss-up between the Orioles and the Yankees. Let me think. What else? What about the? We didn't really talk about the AL Central. What about that division?
I still think it's the Twins division to lose.
Mhm.
They didn't do much this offseason, but they have a lot of good young players to fill in these roles. I mean, Joe Ryan, Pablo Lopez, that's still a great one too, even after losing Sonny Gray. I think Correa showed a lot at the back end of the season that, okay, maybe he's going to be the Carlos Correa we knew from Houston and his short stints in New York and San Francisco. Byron Buxton, if Byron Buxton can stay healthy for even
I know that's just
150
always has
games,
been his problem. Yeah.
yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, the Tigers and Royals, surprisingly, they added a good amount of players. I mean, even yesterday, the Tigers, they added Gio Urshela.
Mhm.
So I think it's definitely going to be a better division. I still think that the Twins are going to win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Tigers and the Royals are in contention for a wild card spot, especially with I think the Rangers. I mean, their pitching's kind of not looking great right now, so I think that's
Yeah.
something to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, lastly, I guess the last thing is the AL West. So who do you think's
Yeah.
gonna win that?
I think it's going to be the Astros.
Yep.
I mean, they added Hader, which came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Ken
That's
Rosenthal
that's
said,
another one that came out of nowhere.
yeah, Ken Rosenthal said, the Astros are talking to Josh Hader, but nothing's finalized. And the day after, Jeff Passan tweets they're in agreement on a 5-year contract.
Yeah.
Like, it's just how the market's been working. And I think that's what's going to happen with guys like Blake Snell, like Montgomery, all them. I'm really surprised about the Rangers, the fact they said they're not bringing back Montgomery in a nice way.
Mhm.
I mean, DeGrom and Scherzer obviously are out for probably the half year and probably more than that. You need guys like Nathan Eovaldi, who was great last year, but you need him to step up again.
Yep.
John Gray, Andrew Heaney, guys like that. I just don't know if you can rely on players like that in that division, especially when you look at the Mariners. The Mariners, I think, got way better.
Mhm.
They traded Robbie Ray, but he's not going to be a factor until the
Yeah.
middle part of the
Yep.
season.
Hmm.
So I love the Jorge Polanco trade. I love what they got in Mitch Garver. Um, their young pitching is great. So I definitely would look at the Mariners as a really good team. Obviously, you got Julio.
Hmm.
So I'm not very high on the Rangers, but they won the World Series last year, so I'm
Yeah, no, you can't count them
not gonna
out.
doubt them.
You can't count them
Yeah,
out.
definitely not.
Yeah, I mean the
Yeah,
Mariners, they ended the season. That was disappointing. They were like the odd man out of the teams in the AL West. So we'll see if they could bounce back. Because I mean, if you go back to 2022, I mean they had the Astros. I mean they went into that
yeah,
18 inning game, and then also they should have won Game 1, and then of course Yordan Alvarez hits the walk off home
yeah,
run off of Robbie Ray. So we'll see if they bounce back this season. Yeah, I mean, I listen. I just want the games to start already because since
yeah,
football's
yeah,
over, like you have like that couple week period between that and when spring training starts, and I'm kind of just like waiting for baseball season. Like I
oh
mean, now
yeah,
it's here. Now we got
yeah,
games starting. The team photos. Uh, Seeing all that. I mean, I'm really excited. I'm really excited. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Sam, I thank you for joining me. Again, this is kind of the passing of the torch. Me handing you the keys to the baseball podcast officially. And like I said, you've been doing a great job. Obviously, maybe in the future I'll make some guest appearances on the show. But this is officially the
definitely.
last time I'm hosting this show. So, but yeah, that is all the time that we have for today. Again, Sam, thank you for joining me. Appreciate it. I will see you when we have our production meeting at 12.
Yeah,
So yeah, so until again, I'm streaming in like another couple minutes, but yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty much it. So until then, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder along with Sam signing off from the GSMC Baseball Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will see you guys in a little bit. But yeah, so take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn it.